bro, that's 300 subs. That is the most, I think that's the most subs anybody's gifted in a day. Dog. You don't need to keep using stuff!
Hello friends, my name is JJ. So let me show you a photo that one of my European friends sent me the other day. It's of the American food section of his local supermarket. I forget what country, but I've been to Europe enough times to know that sections like this are common.
That's the American food section. I do think that's weird. That other countries literally have, I've seen this before. I feel like every country at most supermarkets have sections where it's like all American food. But it's all the most unhealthy shit you will ever see. Fucking Goldfish Pop-Tarts, Reese's Puffs cereal, Airheads, Warheads, fucking candy, fucking mac and cheese, like all this whack shit.
A1 sauce, gluten-free hazelnut coffee mate. Now the question would be whether this is actually an accurate portrayal of American food or simply a heavily exoticized one. Exoticism is a term used to describe the tendency of thinking of foreign cultures only in terms of how they differ from your own. This then leads to the habit of wrongly assuming that the weirder some foreign thing is, the more culturally traditional it must surely be. So in this case, obviously Americans don't actually eat things like Oreo cereal.
I've never eaten Oreo cereal. I've eaten fucking fluff. I'll eat a peanut butter and fluff sandwich any day of the fucking week, right? I didn't know, like, Pop-Tarts count as American food. I thought Pop-Tarts are just fucking Pop-Tarts. I thought every fucking country eats fucking Pop-Tarts.
That said, Americans are of course just as guilty of doing this as anyone. Many supermarkets over here have the so-called world food section.
Yo, that's fucked up. It'll be like the world food section and they'll have, like, rice. And I'll be like, bro, you could have just put that in, like, the fucking carb area.
Exoticizing goes hand in hand with the other phenomenon we talked about the other week. Authenticity. This is basically when you use a bunch of stereotypes of some foreign place to come up with a product or tradition that you then inaccurately present as being some normal part of their culture. Chinese fortune cookies, which are not actually a thing.
I literally fucking mentioned this!
Exotic stereotype of the Chinese as mysterious fortune tellers would be a classic example. So I lived in Japan briefly, and while I was there, I was able to see perhaps one of the world's most infamous faux-authentic American traditions up close: fried chicken on Christmas.
Bro, have you heard of this shit before? Oh my god, bro, I actually forgot that was a thing. In Japan, they eat Kentucky Fried Chicken on Christmas because they think that we do that.
And a lot of this superficiality, in turn, is heavily filtered through assumptions of what Americans do. And apparently, the Japanese have been convinced.
Like, what the fuck? Yo, let me get a 20-piece chicken bucket for the holidays. Like, what the hell?
Eating fried chicken, especially KFC fried chicken, is the tradition.
Oh, nah. Merry Christmas! We have the KFC! Like, what the fuck?
It's the traditional American thing. When you're in
Christmas Kentucky chicken. That's fucked up, too, because KFC's just rolling with it to try and make more money. KFC's not even gonna be like, yo, that's kind of cap. Like, nobody actually eats KFC on fucking Christmas. They're just like, yeah, no, let's make a few ads about it.
And a lot of Japanese kids will look forward to having a big KFC feast on December 25th. This authentic tradition was supposedly the idea of just one man, Takashi Okawara.
Bro, that's fucking nuts that one motherfucker could convince an entire country over time that another country eats KFC every year.
And after a few years, KFC for Christmas starts to get popular in Japan. And NHK, which is a national broadcaster, comes in to interview Mr. Okawara, and they want to know if KFC is an American Christmas tradition.
You are selling Kentucky Fried Chicken so well in Christmas. And is there common custom in overseas? And I would, I know that there people are not eating chicken, they're eating turkey. But I said, yes.
On Thanksgiving, not on Christmas.
It was lie.
No.
I still regret that.
I found a lot of Japanese people were quite shocked when I told them that no one in America actually eats fried chicken on Christmas, and that if anything, eating fast food on Christmas would be considered a fairly trashy thing in American culture. Another wild, authentic American-style sauce on their French fries. You can buy it at places like McDonald's or in big bottles.
Ew, what is that shit? What is that shit? What is that shit? American-style sauce? That looks like mustard and fucking pickles.
The store, it's not that bad. I would describe it as basically what you would get if you put mayonnaise and relish together in the blender.
That's
An
disgusting.
even weirder Dutch food, however, is what they call filet Americain or American préparé in Belgium, which is a kind of pâté.
Nah, bro, what the fuck is that? That looks like a mushy chicken patty, bro. What the hell?
Made of raw ground beef and often eaten on toast or crackers. People told me it was because during the war there had become this stereotype.
He's not saying that
American
everyone does
soldiers
it.
all ate their steaks super rare, and then the Dutch beef industry just kind of ran with that. That is almost certainly an apocryphal story, but hey, apocryphal stories are one of the key foundations upon which authentic traditions are built. For example, some of my British viewers noted that British supermarkets sometimes sell supposed American-style hot dogs in jars.
That is weird. I think I have like a few friends in other countries, and they say it's weird that we eat hot dogs. And it's what they're made of, because hot dogs are fucking disgusting.
Load up on that big stateside flavor, proclaims this ad. But if hot dogs in jars of brine are too weird for you, they do also sell them in cans of brine as well. Hot dogs are, of course, one of the great exoticized symbols of American cuisine in much of the world, and as a result, slapping hot dogs on something is always a surefire way to market it as being American style. For example, in a lot of places, pizzas with hot dogs on them are presented
That's
as
fucking
being
disgusting.
American
That's
style
fucking
pizzas,
disgusting.
either sliced up hot dogs.
No. I've never had hot dogs on a pizza in my entire fucking life. I've never had a hot dog styled fucking pizza. What the fuck is a hot dog pizza?
In Brazil, they sell allegedly California-style pizza with pineapple, figs, plums, and those bright red cherries they...
Figs? Have y'all ever had a fucking fig? What is a fig? Oh my god. Fig Newtons are disgusting.
My friend was doing graduate work in Poland and went out to eat and saw American pizza on the menu. When she ordered it, it came out as a plain cheese pizza, and the guy brought a can of creamed corn and poured it directly onto the pizza right there at the table. Many Americans who had lived or traveled abroad were equally keen to regale me with horror stories about what other countries seem to think a traditional American-style
Creamed
breakfast
corn?
entails. Among other things, they described being served breakfasts that included stuff like baked beans, garlic bread, potato salad, and of course, hot dogs. One guy even complained—
Isn't baked beans a part of an English breakfast? So I don't think baked beans I would never eat baked beans with breakfast, but I don't think that's that weird.
about being served green orange juice in China. Talking of Asia, many of my Asian friends told me about a dish that is...
We don't have refried beans in the UK. You definitely have refried beans in the UK. There's somewhere, Verbus, somewhere in the UK you could find fucking refried beans. You could make refried beans. It's refried beans.
known as American fried rice. This evidently consists of rice cooked with ketchup, corn, and raisins, accompanied by a sauce of various stereotypical American delicacies like hot dogs, slices of bologna, fried eggs, and chicken nuggets.
Bologna's disgusting. I can't eat bologna.
But my favorite story of a authentic American dish comes from my friend Camilo in Colombia. In Colombia, we have American-style hot dogs, which are enormous hot dogs with a chorizo wiener topped with melted cheese, crumbled potato chips, various sauces, and quail eggs.
I was gonna say that thing don't look that bad, but the quail eggs. The quail eggs looks that's fucking disgusting. If you removed the quail eggs, I would eat that. I would eat that if you removed the quail eggs.
An American sandwich, or a pan American, which is some sort of beef and french fry sandwich that they sell in France. American salad, which is a kind of mayonnaise and carrot salad sold in Spain. And American dressing, a creamy sauce that the Swedes eat that's made of pickles, mayonnaise, and hot sauce, and sold in tubes.
That doesn't look that bad.
Bacon flavor. But authentic
That's disgusting. Anything that's baked, this is a piece of advice. Never get anything bacon flavored. If you've never tried anything bacon flavored, the only thing that's good that's bacon flavored is fucking bacon. Anything that is bacon flavored, it tastes so bad. It's fucking disgusting.
In Brazil, however, they call a cup that looks like this an American cup. Brazilians also call placemats American sets for some reason. They have a similar situation in Italy, where a placemat is known as an American tablecloth. Are placemats really that American of a thing? My friend Marcelo, meanwhile, tells me this story. I visited Chile one time, and they have stores out there called American stores. These stores are actually just thrift stores, but they call them that because they mostly have American types of clothing, such as American football jerseys, American brands, American college shirts, etc. It was pretty funny, to be honest.
American brands, like, okay, for the people that are not from the US that are in my stream, what brands of clothing do you wear? Gucci? Okay, well, Gucci's expensive as fuck. I feel like Adidas maybe is more popular in Europe.
They would sell like Tommy Hilfiger and Supreme and all of that. But in order to have the full American experience, they would employ these big black guys wearing, you know, do-rags and chains and basketball jerseys to stand out front of the stores and beckon the Japanese people to come in. But these guys were not...
That's fucked up. That is so fucked up. To get the Japanese people to walk in, they would get like some big black dude to just stand outside of the fucking store.
Actually African-American, but rather literal African immigrants from places like Senegal or Ghana, who I assume were much cheaper to hire. And they would be trying to...
Oh, they didn't even get American men. They just got people that were actually from Africa.
Now, in Russia, there is nothing the kids love more than heading down to the old theme park and riding the American slide, which is what they call roller coasters over there, which is kind of ironic since in a lot of other European countries, they call roller coasters Russian mountains, and the historians seem to agree that they were actually invented in Russia as well. But still, I'm sure Americans would much rather be associated with roller coasters than brass knuckles, or as the French call them, American fists.
I've always wanted to get a pair of brass knuckles. Are brass knuckles illegal to own? Yay or nay? I'm not trying to get, like, you know, arrested for owning brass. Everybody's saying yes. Why? Like, what, at that, like, why make brass knuckles illegal? Like, at that point, I could just hit somebody in the head with a bat. Like, it's the same fucking shit.
My friend Christopher writes, I think one example of something that is a product of a foreign country's idea of American culture that America kind of reappropriated for itself is the spaghetti western film genre. As the name suggests, the genre originated in Italy as Italian filmmakers made movies based on a largely mythical understanding of the American West.
Like, is that an actual thing? Hold on. Like, you know when motherfuckers in Wild West films would, like, do the 10 paces outwards and then spin and shoot each other? Is that a thing? Was that ever a thing? I always question. That's never a thing. That never happened. I'm getting a mixture of answers. A Mexican standoff, that's an actual thing. I'm looking it up. The Mexican standoff is a confrontation in which no strategy exists that allows any party to achieve victory. Any party initiating aggression might trigger its own demise. At the same time, the party is unable... No, that's different. This is a Mexican standoff. That's a Mexican standoff. That's different. Mexican standoff is when they're like this, and they're fucking facing each other in a trio. Doesn't make any sense to me. Are Western showdowns real? Actual gunfights in the Old West were very rare and far in between. Some were simply the result of heat in the moment, while others were long-standing feuds between bandits. Because I just feel like that's dumb as fuck, and no one's gonna follow the rules. Because if I have to go into a fucking Western showdown with someone, and I'm like, all right, we're going to walk 10 paces forward and then turn and shoot. I'm going 1, 2, and I'm turning and I'm fucking shooting them in the back of the head. Like, I'm not fucking waiting to just get shot. Who the fuck would follow the rules in that area? It doesn't make sense. What, are they gonna fucking bitch at you? You just shot them in the head. Like, they can't complain that you cheated.
So, the United States welcomes more immigrants than any other country on Earth, which has resulted in basically all of the world's cultures having some sort of presence within its borders. On the one hand, this makes America an amazingly educational place, where curious folks can sample little snippets of all sorts of global traditions and learn about the practices of the wider world through immigrant ambassadors. But on the other hand, the practice of bringing foreign cultures to America can also result in them getting a little bit distorted over time, cut off from their birth country. Immigrants, and especially their children and grandchildren.
That's kind of ironic that America has the highest immigration percentage out of other countries, but there's a lot of motherfuckers here that hate immigrants for some fucking reason.
As they become more Americanized, they might likewise update or modernize their traditions in a way that seems more consistent with the tastes and preferences of the American majority, particularly if they are involved in the business of selling their culture in some way. And of course, there is also the infamous practice of what we now call cultural appropriation, where Americans from outside of immigrant communities take it upon themselves to take
Americans
over
can
or
really be
improve
big heads, huh?
some immigrant
Yeah.
cultural thing that they may broadly like.
Okay, for the idiot in my chat that just keeps saying Mr. Beast Squid Games, you missed that. We already reacted to that. What was my reaction to it? Yeah, let me reenact the whole fucking thing for you. Why don't I? He said, chill out, dude. You're the asshat that called me stupid, you fucking bitch. Are you hungry or hungover? No, no, no. I peeled. You type in all caps too, bruh. Like, oh my god.
If you've ever been to a Chinatown in the US before, you've probably seen one of these things.
Yeah.
A Chinatown Gate. The style is a great example of a certain sort of faux-authentic architecture, a design that is supposed to look Chinese, but isn't based on any actual Chinese tradition. Instead, it is a style that mostly white architects dreamed up as they rebuilt San Francisco's
Wait, they
Chinatown
don't actually have anything like that in China?
after the earthquake of 1906. That obviously seems a little bit condescending, but in the century since, the style has been happily embraced by Chinese Americans all over this continent, including here in Vancouver, as something that's authentically theirs, even if it may not be all that authentically Chinese. You could even say that the entire city of Washington, D.C. is a monument to faux-authentic sensibilities, given the number of prominent buildings done up in a style designed to evoke ancient Rome and Greece as part of the larger American project.
The one thing that I'll say, Washington, D.C. has... I've been so many places, bro. The most annoying tourists are in Washington, D.C. The only places where tourists are annoying and assholes is in Washington, D.C. Why? Because they don't have any fucking regard for, like, public space. Like, I went there, and, like, we would be taking, like, a picture. I remember I was in D.C., and I'm, like, taking a picture, and you're standing in front of it, and, like, say I'm standing here, and you're supposed to pose, and everybody else is waiting. A tourist would walk up, stand right next to me with a fucking selfie stick, and just go like this. And I literally went, what the fuck are you doing? Like, are you...
So-called ethnic holidays are a similar story. Cinco de Mayo, or May 5th, celebrates Mexico's 1862 defeat of the French army of Napoleon III in the Battle of Puebla. It was an event that had a lot of geopolitical significance at the time, but is now mostly forgotten, especially in Mexico itself, where the anniversary isn't even an official holiday, meaning that basically all of the associated festivities and traditions are purely American in origin, which is fine, because at this point, American Chicano culture certainly has plenty of traditions that Mexicans in Mexico can't necessarily relate to, but deserve celebration just the same. Where things get problematic is when festivities drift so far from even Mexican-American culture that you're left with little more than Cinco de Drinko.
Cinco de
Day is
Drinko?
quite similar. It had a long history as an important religious
Bro, the only thing... Yeah, no, deadass. I feel like the only thing that, like, is notable about St. Patrick's Day anymore is fucking Shamrock Shakes from McDonald's. Am I wrong? I feel like that's what most people associate it with. Like, I know it has historic significance, but I'm saying that's... Today, most people just associate St. Patrick's Day with, like, Shamrock Shakes. Parades.
But it was the Americans who came up with the idea that it should be this big extravaganza of Irish cultural pride. In fact, the wild thing is that unlike Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day actually became a bigger deal as America's ties to Ireland grew weaker, with a focus on things like green beer and green rivers and shamrock shakes and corned beef dinners and pinching people who aren't wearing green and all sorts of other things that they don't actually do in Ireland. But the Irish don't seem all that offended. In fact, Irish authorities eventually grew envious of the American take on St. Patrick's Day, and beginning in the 1970s, tried to re-import the American version of their holiday, often by explicitly consulting American St. Patrick's Day experts. Today, St. Patrick's Day has become a big deal in Ireland as well, but it did take a while for it to fully...
Why? Why is St. Patrick's Day a thing, like a bigger thing in Ireland if it's for, I don't know, whatever.
I like
It's
this
like the
quote
4th of fucking July, I guess. Probably the same thing.
here.
I mean, it's not the fucking same thing as the 4th of July, like, in terms of backing, but I'm saying it's like the idea of, like, Americans celebrating their fucking country.
The most classic example of faux authenticity, however, has got to be food. One of the big jokes about American culture, in fact, is that if a food has some foreign land in its name, it's pretty likely that people actually from that foreign land either won't recognize it or will be slightly offended by it.
Taco Bell?
Americans
I'm pretty sure, I've watched videos on this. I'm pretty sure one of the most hated food brands in Italy is Domino's, and in Mexico, Taco Bell.
Things that were actually invented in America to embrace some imagined foreign standard of quality, as opposed to a legit foreign tradition brought to America. Swiss cheese, which as Americans know it, is a knockoff version of what the actual Swiss call Emmental cheese. Italian ice, which is a distinct American...
I fuck with that shit, though. That is good as fuck.
...known as granitas. English muffins, which are an American take on the British crumpet. French roast coffee, which is a name that apparently arose from an old American stereotype that all Europeans drank their coffee super dark. And Russian salad dressing, which as far as I can tell simply gets its name because it was something Americans in the early 20th century figured Russians might eat. German chocolate cake, which was named after an American guy named Sam German, who was not actually German, but it still got bound up in a certain sentimental idea of...
I have a question. Why do Americans think they own the English language and also eat 10 cheeseburgers a day? I eat like one cheeseburger every like month, and I don't think in my own personal opinion, I don't think I own the English language, but yeah, Americans might. The fuck was that comment?
Chop suey would be the ultimate faux-authentic dish, something that feels very exotic and even has an exotic sounding name, but as most Chinese people know, was actually invented in America for Americans. There is more of these sorts of dishes than you might imagine. Chimichangas were invented in Arizona. Spaghetti and meatballs probably come from New York. And California rolls are from, well, California.
I think California rolls are if you say that you eat sushi and then you say you eat California rolls as your favorite sushi roll, that is the most cringy shit ever. Like, if you eat sushi, don't say you eat California rolls, because there's no raw fish in fucking California rolls. Isn't it fucking fried shrimp? What's in a California roll? It's not sushi. A California roll is an inside-out sushi roll in which vinegared rice, cucumber, crab, and avocado. Like, that's not like sushi-like to me, I guess. Salmon roll is my favorite. I fucking love tuna. Like, I would just eat raw tuna. But yeah, I hope you guys had fun watching the stream. We had a great view count today. I will see you guys then. We are going to raid in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.